I have posted this interior design in Blender ArchViz group in Facebook, and I got around 300 likes and a few comments. And the most comments what they ask is for lighting, how I use lighting in my interior. So I decided to make a video on how I use lighting in my interiors and to share some knowledge. As you can see, we are in Blender in my scene, and I'm gonna explain step by step how I use lighting. For lighting, I use HDRs in this interior. When I get HDR, I get HDR from PolyHaven. As you can see, this is the HDR setup that I have made in Blender, and I have add some tricks to make the HDR to not be too much heavy, because heavy HDR take too much time in rendering. For example, this scene in 4K took me only 8 minutes or 7 minutes to rendering with 3070 Ti render engine. Also, it's not too much time because it's pretty big scene. It's 1.5 gigabyte size of the scene. Let's go and create the HDR setup here in the world. Let's go to the website when I get HDRs. Sometimes I get HDR from AmbientCG. They have amazing assets, models, materials. You can support them in Patreon. And also I get HDR from PolyHaven. They have amazing assets like models, textures, models, pretty high quality. You can support also them in Patreon. In my interior, I use this HDR. As you can see, I prefer the HDR to not be too much green. As you can see, too light, too less green. Here, not too much. To add some clouds because I don't want to affect too much light of the sun in my interior. For example, when you use HDR that have too much green, your interior will look like this. Here I made the example. And you say, oh no, what is this? My lighting is terrible. What should I do? Blah blah blah. And it's because you use bad HDRs. You don't choose right HDRs. And this is my preference. Let's go to AmbientCG. I mean PolyHaven. I use HDR that are not having more than 2K. Because if you use 16K, it's 1.17 gigabyte. It's pretty heavy. If you use 2K, it's 21 megabyte. It's nothing. But also I combine 2K with background with 8K. That is JPEG. I download this like this, and also I download the 2K HDR. Let's move it to Blender. I'm just going to create all the setup. For example, to add the HDR, you can go here. I still messed it up. Let's make it another way. This is how it looked the interior without any lighting from HDRs. First you go Shift D Shift E, go to texture and go to environment texture. Go to open, go to downloads and you find your, I'm just gonna get it from here. This is my 2K and this is my 8K tone moped. As you can see, the quality is very high. If you have this add-on, it's available. If you press Ctrl T, you are going to create like this. You can you connect these two together. Also, you add background for the strength, and you add your HDR. This is how it look. Took a HDR. As you can see, the interior is not pretty light. I'm gonna light it. I'll make it 5. The light from window is need to look more exposure. If you want to have more control in exposure, you can go to, sorry about that, and go to color management, and in the filmic choose false color. For example, you don't need to put too much high, because if we go in here in the exposure, if we add too much and we'll go to filmic, it's gonna look too much bright. We need to make the interior to not look too much bright, but to look, when it's green, lighting is enough. You need to add a little more, because it's my preference. I prefer to use lighting that is very high. I don't know, I like it. As you can see, it looks perfect. Sometimes we need to see the exterior. And when we look the exterior from inside, it looks blurry. It doesn't look realistic. If we add 8K here, it looks good, but it's heavy. It's too much heavy. But if we combine the tone moped, that is 8K only for background, let's combine it here, it will look more realistic, more sharp. We go to background, connect these two, add a mix shader, we add a light path, for example. We need to tell the Blender what to choose to look or not to look, because here is this side, here is this side, and we choose its camera array, and Blender knows that automatically. As you can see now, it looked more good. But when we add the glass, it still looks blurry. We need to add another effect. We connect these two together again. We go to its glass array. And now it's looking good. Sometimes we need the exterior to look more exposure. For example, we go here and we make it 10. And that is not gonna affect nothing in our interior. For example, make it 0. Here is completely dark. I think you get the math here. And this is how I use my HDR. Now I'm gonna explain how I use other, like lighting, chandelier here, some ceiling light. Here's ceiling light. Let's go to object. Go to material. Here's the material. I add a Emission. If you go to light, you select light, you add light. Okay, now you add Emission, and you add a blackbody. A blackbody is in Kelvin. For example, if you make it 0, it's completely red, but if you make it 1000, it's blue. You can see it has that blue effect. I prefer to use it in this scale. It's more good. It's warm. It gives a nice feeling. In spotlights, I prefer to use area light. I always doesn't change here the value past 5 volt or to make it 10. I prefer to go down here and press use nodes, and when you use nodes you add Emission, you add blackbody, and you control it. For example, if you make it 15, it looks bright, and this is how I do. And this same work with others. For example, in the ceiling, the gypsum is around that offset as a lighting. And how I do that, for example, if we remove the gypsum, we can see that all around the walls I have a LED light with model LED. As you can see, this is how it works. And this is pretty much what I have to told. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye.